Ah, yes. You hear that sound? That is the delicious taste of non-alcoholic athletic brewing. If you're looking for a change or you're sober curious, check out Athletic Brewing. Go to willcoca.com/athletic brewing. Use code WILLC20 and get 20% off your next purchase. Welcome, everybody, to the Will Coca Podcast. Another 5-Minute Friday starts now. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Will Coca Podcast, a 5-Minute Friday. How are you guys doing today? Well, it's starting to look a little different around here. Now, I toyed with the idea of ending this once and for all of it. Not just the 5-Minute Friday, but the podcast in general. As you know, if you want to listen to a podcast about anything that you desire or you want to learn about or even you just want to laugh about, there is a million podcasts out there that will suffice. And part of me thought I was adding to the noise. Maybe I wasn't doing anything that wasn't particularly special, but nonetheless, I really enjoyed doing it. So I toyed with the idea of ending it all, and I took about 2 weeks to chat with some folks whose opinions mean a lot to me. One of my friends told me something that really stuck out to me. He said, "Why are we always searching for directions from people who have never been to where we want to go?" It's a pretty crazy thing to think about, but it happens, especially when we're at a low point. We're kind of searching for life jackets, and we'll take anything, even if they've got holes in them. So the more I thought about what to do with this podcast, the more I thought about why I started this podcast. And the main reason was to get some thoughts out into the ether, to make them come to life in a way, because I was speaking them to truth. Another reason why I started this podcast was to have dialogue with people. I learn a lot from conversation, and that, to me, is what this podcast is about. But it's also bigger than just this podcast, and that's where the wheels started turning again. You see, I see this podcast as bigger than just me. I learn more from conversations than I do almost anything else in life, and I want to share that with you, the conversations I have with some people that I think are amazing. Say what you will about media, but it's out there. You can't put the genie back in the bottle. But what we can do is create media that inspires us, that educates us, and that elevates us into a higher dialogue. That way, we're not adding to the noise, but we're tuning out the noise by making media that matters. You see, this podcast was never meant to be a self-help podcast. It was more of a place to volley with ideas and concepts and stories of my life and the stories of the people around me. So what is it going to look like? Well, 5-Minute Fridays will still happen. We'll still have our time. Will Coca Podcast will elevate into having more guests, and also we will be launching some podcasts under the banner Media Matters of people that I think are inspiring. People that I communicate with often and leave those conversations by feeling like I can do anything. The goal is to elevate this podcast so it becomes less about me and it becomes more about the community we build, that we are building. And maybe the next time you have that feeling of the thing that you love to do is weighing on you and you may want to jump ship, don't. Double down. Remove yourself from all the distraction and all the noise that's telling you you're not good enough, you shouldn't do it, and no one cares, and commit. My wife reminded me the other day that I am the happiest when I choose the hardest path. So join me in creating a community where we can create content that matters. Maybe we succeed. Maybe we fail. Regardless, we won't know until we give it a try. Thank you all for listening. It truly means the world to me that you guys spend Fridays with me and have joined me on this incredible journey. Well, that has been another 5-Minute Friday. As always, we will catch you next week.